How do you avoid being stressed out all the time and ending the day exhausted? I recently had it up to here. I got fed up with being stressed out and exhausted and hitting the wall and said, I'm going to try something different. I did, and the shift has been amazing. I cannot wait to share this with you. Welcome, I'm Sheri Traxler with Your Life, author of Go Forward, 28 Days to Eat, Move, and Enjoy Life God's Way. Recently, as I mentioned, I was stressed out and was going through this cycle of I would get the stress out of my system. I would take a day or whatever to decompress and journal a lot and just process all the emotion. And then I would notice a pattern that it would all build up again. And I started noticing what was happening. And when I noticed this, I had gone to a park and taken my journal, and my emotions were scattered. I was drained. I've been getting ready to launch my podcast, working with my clients, continuing to grow this business. It's a thing. And in my journal, I was noticing how I was living, and I was not satisfied with it. And if you were dealing with stress, I know you are not satisfied with living that way. So the pattern I noticed about myself is I would work on a project or work with a client or whatever, or get ready for a workshop, whatever I was doing. And then I would walk to the kitchen to get some water. And during that time, my mind would be thinking about the next project, or, oh, this last one took longer than I expected, so how do I rearrange my time? So my mind was always going on what's next, or what wasn't finished, or how to reorganize or rearrange something. Then I would dive into the next thing. My creativity would be lower, my energy would be lower, I would be more distracted, but I'd work on this next thing, and it would take longer, or something wouldn't go right with it, or maybe it went well, but regardless, then it would be time to drive to an appointment or a meeting. Well, on the drive, I would be planning and thinking, because I thought, okay, for me to be effective and efficient, I've always got to be working up here. I've always got to be producing. And that would mean each project during the day, I would have less presence, less focus, less creativity that I mentioned. So by the end of the day then, I would be completely emotionally spent. Things may or may not have gone right, but regardless, I was done. And not done in a good way, but done in I'm exhausted. So then at the end of that day, that's when I would say, okay, now it's time to practice stress management. I would go for an evening walk, or just journal, or collapse with a movie. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough to keep this build up of stress and emotion from happening. And by the end of a week or two, typically about 2-week period with that, then I would just hit that wall. And I would just take a day and go to a park and journal and process the emotion and get everything out. I said, enough is enough. I don't know what I got to change, but we're changing something. And one of the things I thought to change as I saw this pattern was the white space. So on a piece, just imagine with me a piece of paper, and you were taught in school, it's not only important what you write on the paper or what you draw, but the white space around it to help you get clarity on what's on the paper, to make it easier to see what is there. And that is not how I was living. I was taking all that white space and crowding it with extra notes and margins, and if I leave any second untapped, then I'm wasting that time. Wrong. So I said, I'm just going to do an experiment. For 2 weeks, I'm going to do this and just see what happens. I teach mindfulness. I believe in mindful eating and, intuitive eating. I believe in mindful practices, but I always did them as a practice. And then the rest of my life, I would just go up here. So I said, nope, I'm going to do what a therapist I worked with when I was dealing with some hormonal stuff, that she walked me through something she does in between clients as she is walking one client out and then going back to her office and then going back to the waiting room to get her next client. She would pay attention to her footfalls. And that was her white space. She said, I'm not thinking about what I'm going to be talking about with the next client with. I wasn't thinking about what I just talked about with the client I just finished. It was a mindful practice for that 30 seconds where she just paid attention to her footfalls. So I thought, I'm going to try something like that in the white space of my life. As I would go get a glass of water, thoughts would come up of, well, what about this? Nope, Sheri, when you're sitting at your desk with your schedule in front of you, that's when you can replan. That's when you can figure out how to get 5 hours worth of stuff done in 3 because something took longer. But this is not the time to figure that out. It was amazing what this simple shift did for me, the massive result. And it did not take all 2 weeks to notice a big shift. Honestly, within 2 days, I noticed a change. I noticed how much more present I was, how much more creative I was and am, how much I'm not needing to take that day every couple weeks just to, I can't function, I can't think, no, I'm good, I'm good. And I thought it would be a waste of time. I thought it would be, I'm not being as efficient or effective. No, I'm actually more so. My challenge to you is take 3 days, and I'm actually issuing this challenge in my Instagram and my TikTok. I am issuing this challenge to take 3 days and fill your white space with white space. Leave it to be white space. And you're like, what do I do? What can I do with that? I got you covered, because the things I've been experimenting with that are working, I'm going to be sharing them on my Instagram and on my TikTok every day this week. So make sure that you're following me on Instagram and on TikTok, and I will walk through with you where every day, okay, this is what we're going to do today. So I'm going to post for 7 days for this on Instagram and TikTok, but make sure that you've committed to 3 of those days to try it yourself and see what happens to your stress level. Because here's the thing, here's what started this whole thing, is when you are busy, you do not have time to say, I'm going to take an hour and a half a day for a stress management practice. And even if you do, as I found myself in the evening walk journaling, it wasn't working. It wasn't enough. It was when I included these white space moments that the shift happened for the stress, the creativity, everything. I keep hitting on that because it was so astounding to me how something so small and so simple could make such a big impact. So head over to Instagram, head over to TikTok, follow me there so you can get all 7 days that I'm mapping out for us. Commit to 3 of them, a 3-day challenge. Commit to 3 days to fill your white space with white space. Thank you so much for being here. Remember to subscribe, click that notification bell, and until next time, find your unique path and fulfill your potential.